it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgi, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Thorgi Reviews, the review show where I review anything from the world of geekery, and in honor of the final episode of Superhero Month, I am going to be reviewing, of course, The Nice Guys. No, don't make me review that today. I know it's Superhero Month, but come on, I want to talk about The Nice Guys. This thing is getting such bad word of mouth. I don't want to talk about it. Nobody's even seeing it anymore. Okay, I understand, but this film was directed by Shane Black, who also directed Iron Man 3, so there is a superhero connection in... Oh, come on, man! It's not even May anymore! Superhero Month ended last week! It's June at this point! Can't I talk about this film? Come on, no one wants to hear me talk about... So, hey everybody. Today we're going to be reviewing X-Men Apocalypse. Enjoy! Yes, okay, so today we're reviewing X-Men Apocalypse, and I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. X-Men Apocalypse is the type of movie that critics hate. They can't stand movies like this. They dread them. They live in fear of films like this. It keeps them up at night, twisting and turning in a cold sweat, slowly being driven mad. Critics hate movies like this because movies like this are... okay. I mean, it's fine. Sure. And critics hate films that are just okay, because there's not much to talk about. There's not much to praise, not much to rant about. It's just a big bowl of whatever. That's what this film is. It's a plate of dried toast. No jelly, no butter, just toast. Sure, if you're really hungry, it'll get the job done. It'll sustain you. But when there is currently something else on your table that is way more filling and way more appetizing than dried toast, why are you going to bother with this? So there you go, everybody. That was my review of X-Men Apocalypse. I thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and thank you very much. Good night. I've just been informed that I have 20 more minutes that I need to fill. Okay. I can do this. I like a challenge. Now, before I begin, let me just say that yes, I am a comic book fan, but I am also a movie fan, so you might be wondering what side of me is going to be reviewing this film. Well, I do have another show out there, the Post Geek Out Reaction, which is unscripted. It's just my honest, open thoughts about the thing that I just watched, and on that show I do talk fully from the heart, my comic book loving heart, full spoilers on. And I do have an episode coming up right now, they always go up at the exact same time as the reviews, in which I do discuss this film. And in that, I will be speaking about my problems with this film as a comic book fan, including all the inaccuracies, or as I like to call it, the entire film. And when I say inaccuracies, I do not mean things like, oh, this character wasn't in this storyline. I mean inaccuracies like, this character makes absolutely no sense, that's not at all how they are in the comic, and why the hell is Mystique the world's greatest superhero? Yeah, that's an actual thing in this film. But for this review, I'm going to be looking at it as a film critic. I'm going to be discussing how well it succeeds and how much it fails as a movie, not an adaptation, but as its own thing. I will say that between those two options, it does one of them way more than the other. Now, in this movie, it's been 10 years since the events of Days of Future Past, and spoiler alert for Days of Future Past, but at the end of that film, Mystique shoots Magneto in order to save a bunch of vague, important-looking guys in suits. And because of that, she is now viewed as the world's greatest hero and a symbol of hope and a symbol of mutants and humans coming together in peace. I will give all the comic book fans a moment to stop laughing at that. You good? Oh, got a little bit more. Okay. Now we're good? Okay, fine. So, she is now viewed as a symbol of hope of mutants and humans coming together. However, question. At the end of that movie, after she shot Magneto to save those guys, didn't she then immediately turn towards them and hold the gun at them for about 15 seconds, contemplating whether or not she should kill them too? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if you saved the president's life from an assassin and then picked up their gun and immediately pointed at him and stared him down for about 15 seconds before dropping it and walking away, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be viewed as a hero. I'm pretty sure you would be tackled to the ground and taken to jail as well. But Mystique doesn't want to be seen as the face of mutants and humans coming together because she says it's a lie. She says that mutants are still being hunted down in the streets. There's still discrimination all over the world against mutants, and she says that she can't stand to show her face as a mutant when everybody thinks that it's a symbol of peace. Translation, Jennifer Lawrence was contractually obligated to come back and make this film, and she said there is no way in hell I'm coming back and doing this if I have to put on the blue makeup, come up with an excuse for why my character would not be blue throughout this film, and this was the best they could come up with. This makes no damn sense. Not her not wanting to put on the blue makeup. That makes total sense. She has Oscars now. She should not be forced to do this anymore. What I mean is that this reason for why Mystique, a character who has always been very proud to show off the fact that she is a mutant, now suddenly is like, oh, people actually know about me? Oh, well, I can't stand to be seen anymore. You want to talk out about the discrimination that mutants are facing, so you decide to hide in the shadows? How about, I don't know, just throwing this out there, you use your newfound iconic status and fame to go on the news and talk shows and talk about this and raise awareness of this discrimination. The reasoning behind this makes no sense. Literally any other excuse to not put her in the blue makeup would have made more sense. How about instead of being praised for saving these people, she's being hunted down because she, tried to murder them 2 seconds later, so she has to stay in disguise. How about she's suffering through an identity crisis because of this newfound fame, so she keeps shifting into different people? That would give you an excuse to hire on a new actress. Someone who actually wants to be in these movies. How about Apocalypse just shows up and for the hell of it just rips out her powers because, I don't know, he has no motivation for anything else in this movie? How about she's allergic to Charles's new cologne and it's messing with her powers? I know that sounds stupid, but it would still make more sense than what they ended up going with. This makes no sense, especially for her character. Mystique, throughout all the other movies, was always defined by saying, I'm proud of being a mutant and I'm not going to hide who I am because mutants shouldn't have to hide who they are. But then the second that people look at her and go, oh, you're a mutant? Oh, that's actually kind of interesting. I'm actually really intrigued by that. She goes, don't look at me. I don't want to be seen as a mutant anymore. Again, this is not me coming in here and saying that's not how she is in the comics. That's me coming in here and saying that's not how she is in the previous 5 movies. But her life isn't the only one that's changed over the last couple of years. Charles Xavier has now turned his mansion into a fully functioning school, and his student body includes Cyclops, Jean Grey, some girl in a yellow coat who everybody tells me is Jubilee, but honestly she doesn't do anything in this movie, so why is it important? And some dude who doesn't have blue fur, but they still tell me is the Beast. Also, Magneto has retired from supervillaining and he's decided to settle down. He's working in a mill and he's raising a family, except, I don't know if it's safe to say this. That might be a spoiler. What do you think, trailer for this very same movie?
Whatever it is you think you saw in me, I buried it with my family.
Oh, okay, good. Well, now that that's out in the open, yeah, his family dies, so it's time to become a supervillain again. Because, after being raised in a concentration camp, being experimented upon, having an army of robots built to take out every single member of your species, it didn't feel like Magneto had a really solid reason to hate human beings just yet. He really needed something to seal the deal. Now, you might notice at this point, I have yet to mention Apocalypse or any of his Horsemen. This movie also sees the return of many fan-favorite characters from the previous movies, such as Quicksilver, and he's still a delightful spot of fun in an overly dramatic story. And I'll give these movies this. They know how to make super speed look cool. There is another huge scene involving his super speed, and I'll admit I kind of like the time in a bottle moment from the previous film a bit more, but this one is still really cool. Even though it is immediately followed by a super dark moment that makes that entire thing seem a little bit tone deaf and a bit insensitive. You almost feel bad for laughing at that after what immediately follows it. Also, we get to see a brand new Nightcrawler pop up, and honestly, I really like this new Nightcrawler. He reminds me of the Nightcrawler from the X-Men Evolutions cartoon, where he has this wide-eyed wonder, but is still a little bit too shy to speak up about. And I love that they actually held on to his religious background. It's like they actually studied this character. In fact, out of all of the new X-Men, he seems like the most rounded. Not that that means anything, because this is an X-Men film, and if you're in an X-Men film and your name isn't Wolverine or Magneto, you might as well be a cardboard cutout. And this brings me to a problem that I have had with all of the X-Men films. These movies are terrible about introducing characters. Sure, they put a ton of them up there on the screen, but they never give us time to know them, never give them any depth, never really give them any lines to say. They're literally just there. Think about First Class. That movie is a great film about Professor X and Magneto getting to know each other, debating their philosophies, hunting down this mysterious Hellfire group, and then out of nowhere they just go, time to put a team together. Here's 10 people whose names we will never ever say again. Training montage. Now let's go fight. Or Days of Future Past. Yes, that film starts off by showing you all these mutants using their powers in incredible ways, but did you ever get to know any of them? You have Sunspot in that film, flying around on fire, and when I left the theater, I kid you not, I literally heard somebody in front of me say, man, I can't believe that they put the Human Torch in an X-Men film. That's how little they gave us to know these characters. And the same is true here, except that in the previous films, it tended to be minor characters who we didn't need to know about. In this film, it's the major characters who we need to care about in order for this film to actually work. Cyclops and Jean Grey have no personality in this film other than just, oh hey, remember them from the previous films? Yeah, this is them. And Jubilee, she's the perfect example of what I'm talking about. She's in here just so that people can go, oh, it's Jubilee, alright. And Wolverine, listen. I know that there are a lot of people out there saying that the Wolverine scene in here is fantastic. It's cool. I'll give you that. It is a cool scene, but it has no reason to be in this movie. None. And it is so forcefully crammed into this film. They have to airlift the team across the country just so they can find an excuse to have Wolverine in this film. I complained that in Civil War, Spider-Man had no reason to be there, and I stand by that. However, compared to Wolverine in this film, he feels like the vital lifeblood of that entire plotline. And of course, that brings me to the most flat and useless characters in this entire movie. The Horsemen of Apocalypse. They made such a big deal about Psylocke being in this movie. Oh, we're gonna get Psylocke right, guys. We're gonna finally get her right. Ignore X-Men 3. We're gonna get her right in this movie. And Storm, oh, you get to see Storm go off in this film. And Angel, hey, just like the comics, guys. Just like the comics. We're being faithful to the comics. None of that means Jack. Alright? None of these characters feel important at all. None of them have any depth to them. You would think that when you're being convinced to join this ultimate evil so that he can manipulate you, you would get some kind of personality, and he would give you some kind of a reason to be there, and he would have to do some kind of convincing. No! He recruits everybody on a first come, first served basis, and the recruitment process is basically nothing more than, hey you, kid, hey kid. Me? Yeah. You want to be a Horseman of Apocalypse? I don't know. I'll give you some cool new powers. Can I have an awkward-looking skin-tight leather costume? I don't see why not. Deal. Storm has a few minutes to introduce herself, and of course Magneto has his whole storyline going on, but Psylocke and Angel, they have maybe 3 lines of dialogue throughout this entire film. The Sentinels from the last movie had more personality than they do. And that's not me being mean to the actors, because the actors weren't given anything to do. They were just told to stand there while a bunch of special effects were thrown around them. And speaking of special effects, listen, it's a superhero film. I don't have problems with special effects. You need special effects in a superhero film. However, let's take a look at Civil War. In that movie, you had this big, epic battle scene. And in that battle scene, there were indeed tons of special effects. However, when Iron Man was fighting, you saw him zipping around the air, giving out witty lines of dialogue, interacting with other characters. When Ant-Man was using his shrinking powers, he was using them in creative and imaginative ways, while at the same time giving out some really funny lines of dialogue. When Spider-Man fought, you got to see his agility and his unique fighting style, while at the same time giving out memorable lines of dialogue. In this movie, when characters fight, it's this. Take this thing that I'm doing right now, throw a bunch of special effects around it. That's how everyone fights in here. This is how Magneto fights. This is how Storm fights. This is how Cyclops fights. That's it. They just pose. No dialogue, just poses with a bunch of explosions thrown around them. And when characters actually do move around and they actually do go hand to hand like Psylocke and Beast, it doesn't feel real. It feels like fight scenes from a decade ago when they were all on wires being lifted up and down. They don't feel like they have any weight to them. It feels too slow. It all feels choreographed. That's not what you want a superhero fight scene to feel like. And speaking of Civil War, let's go ahead and get into it. The thing that hurts this movie the most is the fact that it came out right after Civil War. And I don't mean that Civil War was a better movie, although it was, in literally every way possible. No, what I mean is that Civil War wasn't just a superhero film, it was a commentary on superhero films. In that film, the Avengers have to sign the Sokovia Accord because they've been involved in too many things blowing up. And that wasn't just part of the plot, that was Disney and Marvel coming in and going, guys, listen, superhero films, they're great, but all of them, including our own, we'll admit to it, including our own, they're all involved in way too much stuff blowing up. These films always end with massive explosions. There's always way too much destruction in these films. And as I saw that, I kind of went, oh yeah, I hadn't really thought about it, but I guess you're right. I guess I am getting sick of that. I guess I should ask for different things from my superhero films. And then X-Men comes in and just goes, we're gonna blow up more stuff than ever. They blow up the planet in that film. They blow up cities. Every world monument you can imagine is destroyed in that film. This was just awful timing. That at the same time that Disney was going to come out here and go, we're going to make people realize that they should ask for more from their superhero films and that they blow up too many things, you then have Fox going, oh well, people get a load of all these explosions. It would be like if you stayed up all night making cupcakes to bring into work, and then the moment that you get to work, you find out that the FDA came out and said all cupcake frosting contains salmonella. Destroy all cupcakes. No one eat any cupcakes. And honestly, that's the thing that's so frustrating about this movie. Yes, I'll admit, this movie, it's okay. It's fine. It's got good performances to balance out the bad. It's got cool scenes to balance out the lame ones. However, the X-Men films of the past have had problems. Heck, all superhero films have. But we are currently at a point in which superhero films are trying to progress, trying to become different, trying to become something more than what they have been. And with Days of Future Past, the X-Men franchise went back in time to try and fix all their problems, to make it look like they actually were going to try and be different, that they were going to try and progress. And then this film came along and just put everything right back on that same old track. Heck, it almost seems like half of this movie is setting up X-Men 3, the biggest misstep in the entire X-Men franchise. Well, okay, the second biggest misstep in the whole franchise. But it really feels like this is a step backwards. If this movie had come out 10 years ago, it would have been amazing. We would have loved it. It would have been at the peak of when these types of movies were coming out. But we're done with these types of movies, man. We've moved on. And that's why I have to give this movie my score of 1 copy of a Lou Bega CD. Yes, Lou Bega, everyone. He's not bad. He's fine. He'll get the job done if you really need to listen to something. But unless you've got a time machine to experience it 20 years ago, it's going to feel a little bit old. It's going to feel a little bit stale. It's going to feel outdated. It's going to feel a little bit hollow. And honestly, when the entire medium has advanced so much since it came out, you could at this point find something better by just listening to literally anything else on the radio. I kind of feel bad about this score. What did Lou Bega ever do to me? You know what? Mambo Number 5 is still a pretty catchy song. But okay, that's my review, everyone. Let me know in the comments down below how you felt about this movie. And if you like this film, that's awesome. Do not let my negative opinions on this dissuade you from that. And if you want to go out there and see it, then go for it. Make up your own mind, man. Although I will throw out there that for the price of a movie ticket, you could also order an entire season of the X-Men animated series online, and one of those two is a way better interpretation of the X-Men and is way more memorable. Just throwing it out there. But for now, thank you guys for tuning in, and if you want to see more from me, remember that here on the Professor Thorgi channel, we cover everything from the world of geekery, whether it be comic books, video games, or movies, so if you want to see more from me, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Also, remember that the spoiler discussion that I had about this film is currently up now, so I will put that at the end of this video, as well as my Civil War review if you guys want to take a look at that. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and remember to share this around the web. It is the best way to help out this channel. You guys have been doing that a lot lately, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Wait, stop. Hold up now. It just hit me. This was the last thing that we reviewed for Superhero Month. And I can't let it in like that. I can't let the last thing that we review for Superhero Month just be, okay. I'm going to review something else with superheroes in. I don't even care what it is. I will take literally anything else out there with superheroes in it right now. I gotta review something else, alright? Is it too late to back out on this one?